Ilia Topuria just knocked out Alexander Volkanovski in the second round, as I predicted, most unfortunately. And, I mean, listen, I'm going to do one take. We're just going to speak from the heart this time. You guys know I'm a massive Alexander Volkanovski fan. And the first thing I want to say is that I just had a feeling that we were not going to get what we wanted tonight, dude. Like, the celebration that I would have had if Volkanovski won, I was telling my chat I was going to celebrate all night. I was going to hit the muzz. I was going to listen to music. It would have been the best time ever. Instead, we're going to have a whole week talking about Volk getting KO'd, okay? Volk got knocked the fuck out. So, like, the reality that we're living in is the one that I expected. The fucking harsh, cold truth. All right? Ilia Topuria brought reality to us. And it's not just because Volk is 35. It's not because Volk got KO'd recently 4 months ago. That's definitely not a good thing for him. What I will say is this. It sucks that we didn't see any grappling, because that is one thing that I said. If Volkanovski does grapple, that'll give him a much better chance to win. And the fact that he didn't even shoot a takedown, or we didn't get to see some exchanges, it just sucks. Like, it really hurts, the fact that we don't know what would happen there. But at the same time, I have to say this. Ilia Topuria was the answer to Volkanovski, because Volk tonight looked amazing. Like, people were saying Volk should have never turned around so quickly. Okay, well, then you would have given Ilia a couple more months to get better and just land the same KO over again. Like, would have Volkanovski have fought with a grappling-heavy approach instead? Did he want to prove a point coming off of this KO loss so much? Is that why he stood with Topuria? Either way, what I saw was Topuria not even breaking a sweat, walking Volkanovski down, getting pieced up, getting outpointed, losing on points, but looking composed and not threatened on the feet. And instead, on the other side of Volkanovski looking cool, calm, and collected, even though he was talking to Ilia, I saw a guy that was sweating bullets, working his ass off just to keep Ilia at bay a little bit, not affecting Topuria at all with his power, at all with his kicks, and ultimately a guy that just didn't have the power to get any respect back. And as I predicted, I said we were going to get a second round KO. Volk is going to be winning until he's not. Ilia Topuria is good enough to land some clean shot on Volkanovski. Something clean. He's got amazing boxing. He can put something together. He landed a beautiful combination with a body shot that started off, then one of the nastiest, cleanest right hooks I've ever seen. And the truth of the matter is, I don't give a shit if Volkanovski got knocked out 4 months ago. That right hand that Ilia Topuria hit Volk with, I don't know how anyone could take that at 145. And I think that even though Topuria was losing, this isn't a fluke. He stayed composed. He was relaxed. He wasn't expending a lot of energy. There wasn't any grappling exchanges. We don't know what would have happened there. And it was only a matter of time before he got Volk up against the fence and landed something flush on him. And we saw what the consequence of that was. And I think that for the first time, we're looking at a guy that is Volk's kryptonite on the feet. Big power, granite chin. You look at Ilia Topuria, he's so rooted into the ground. Yes, he's heavy on the lead leg. Did Volkanovski's kicks really get to him that much? Like, it didn't seem to affect him at all, right? Granted, Volk wasn't like sinking in those kicks like he did to Holloway in the first fight. He was landing a lot of lead leg kicks. They weren't that powerful, but at the same time, it's like either way, they didn't do shit. Topuria spun Volk around a couple of times with his kicks. And so the point that I'm trying to make is that I think Topuria won this fight because he was the better fighter. He was the better striker. Like, yes, he was getting outpointed, but he checkmated Volk. It was with a perfect combination, a beautiful shot. Volk up against the fence, nowhere to go, trapping him, landing a pitch-perfect shot, and he gets knocked out, and his career's over. Okay? But before we talk about all the good things and what happens next for Topuria, again, it sucks that we didn't get to see any grappling. I really wanted to see some grappling, man. Good win for Topuria, man. And I'm happy that I got the pick right, but it just sucks. Like, dude, my celebration would have been fucking legendary. I was saying I was going to have a 12-hour Volk stream. I was going to have the foam finger, bro, and the propeller hat. I was going to be muzzing on the stream, talking about how Volk's the GOAT, bro. No, that's not the case. We get the predictable. And I know Ilia was the underdog, but for me, it seemed kind of like the predictable thing that Topuria was going to win. Volk's career is over. All right? Like, I understand that there are going to be some Volk fans that are going to deny what they just saw, and they're going to want to see him turn around to fight Ilia in a rematch. Are you out of your fucking mind? You want to see him fight a rematch? Are you kidding me? After he just got laid the fuck out? Like, did you not see him piecing up Topuria and it all meant nothing? Sure, maybe he gets a takedown next time, but, you know, have you ever seen Volk submit anyone? Maybe he would beat up Topuria well and tire him out a little bit more, but that guy still hardly expends any energy. It's like, how the fuck are you going to beat him? Nothing was affecting him. You didn't get rocked once. And I'm going to go back to this. I don't think it was the chin. Ilia landed good shots on Volkanovski in the first and in the second. Like, some pretty good, clean right hands. We even saw Volk get stumbled a little bit. He gave Topuria the nod as if it's all good, but acknowledged that he got hit with a good shot. If Volk had gotten KO'd by one of those, then I would have said, all right, damn, you really shouldn't have turned around so quickly. But he got KO'd by like the freaking perfect shot from a nasty power puncher. It was a checkmate. Volk looked good. He looked great. This is it, though. Okay? And now he's not coming off of a KO loss to where he can say, you know, I wasn't on a full training camp. It's easy for me to cope with that because I wasn't fully prepared. He was fully prepared. This was like the most motivated he's ever been. He looked so motivated going into this. He looked comfortable. He didn't seem to be pissed off or he didn't seem to be salty. Like, he was chilling. This was the best he ever looked going into a fight outside of course, the KO loss, which matters. But the point that I'm making is he got knocked out because he got hit with the perfect punch, bro. All right? He needs to hang it up. Okay? This is the harsh, cold truth. Volk needs to hang up the gloves. Because if you want him to fight at featherweight again, even if he's better than Evloev, well, guess what? He's just got knocked out a second time in a row at 35. Now, the guys that aren't on his level necessarily are going to start to beat him, and he's getting even older. It's just not worth the risk. You want to see him have a rematch? I can't even talk. You want to see him have a rematch with Topuria? The guy that just laid him out stiff? Who we had no effect on the feet? Like, dude, it's time to let go, guys. Be happy that his career happened. I've seen Volkanovski's whole career. He's my favorite fighter. Like, it honestly sucks to see this guy no longer be a champion. He had the 4th longest championship reign in UFC history. We should be happy about that. We should celebrate this guy's career. He's still the featherweight GOAT. Sure, Ilia could go on to pass him, and he's already got a phenomenal win to get that journey started over beating the man himself. But if you want him to stick around, these losses will start to add up. He's lost 3 out of his last 4 fights, and now he's lost in his own division. And it's not as simple as, what? Oh, so he loses to the champion, and now all of a sudden you think he can't win? It's like, dude, he was winning the fight until he wasn't. He got KO'd. Sure, Ilia may have landed the perfect shot that Evloev won't land, but maybe now it doesn't need to be the perfect shot. Maybe now it just needs to be an okay shot. Or maybe now he's going to start showing signs of slowing down. And of course, he has the mentality of, I want to stand up for myself, and I'm going to get back out there at UFC 300. That's what's going to lead to his downfall. Ilia Topuria deserves credit. Like, he beat Volk because he was better tonight, okay? This has nothing to do with the chin. It's just moving forward. I don't give a fuck about seeing Volk coming off of 2 KO losses, moving up to lightweight to fight Justin Gaethje. Maybe Benoit Saint Denis runs through Dustin Poirier. You really want to see that fight? Sure, I can't wait for Volkanovski to get head kicked by Benoit Saint Denis and KO'd. Can't wait to see him get 5 KO losses in a row. If he retires now, yes, it's not going to be the best look to retire off of a loss, but at the same time, if he doesn't, you run the risk of him just taking loss after loss after loss after loss. And you know what that would mean? Volk right now, by losing tonight, he missed out on an opportunity to be right up there with Jones. Some of you may roll your eyes, but it's the truth. Resume-wise, breaking the curse at 35 for the lighter weight class guy, beating someone as dangerous as Topuria, having multiple wins over 3 different generations of fighters, undefeated at featherweight. The guy literally would have been the second best fighter of all time, clearly, in the same stratosphere as Jones. Losing tonight, he's not that guy. He's still top 5. You know what losing again is going to do to his resume? He loses again, he's outside of the top 5. Loses again, all right, now he's getting closer to number 10. I know that it's easy to say he's old, the losses don't count, but it's like they do, though. They will add up, and it will ruin his legacy a little bit. And I'd rather Volk be remembered as an extremely dominant champion that lost to like the next featherweight GOAT and retired and sailed off into the sunset and had a phenomenal career and only lost once at featherweight, rather than the guy that got beat up a bunch of times by like the up-and-comers, where, you know, maybe if Evloev beats Volkanovski in the future, we'll say, yeah, but Evloev beat Volk, and even though Volk wasn't technically in his prime, he was still kind of good. You know what I mean? Like, that's what the Aldo fans have to put up with. You know what I mean? Again, Volk didn't lose because he was washed. He looked great. This was like the best 35-year-old we've ever seen in a featherweight title fight. It's just Topuria was the fucking answer all along. And that's how it is. Volk was dominant. He was schooling everyone at featherweight. He was having a close fight with Makhachev. It took a while to find that guy. That's how it always is, man. Every single champion's going to have that guy that comes along that's the next generation. And he may not be able to match Volk points-wise, but he will be the answer to that style. Like, he will have some next-level boxing, and he will have the ability to also grapple and stay composed. And Ilia Topuria, only 27 years old. If he wins like 3 or 4 more times at featherweight, he will be the featherweight GOAT. He already beat Volk, who was undefeated. Who, sure, you could talk about him coming off of a KO loss, but he looked amazing tonight. That win counts a lot. I want Volk to retire, man. I really do. And I want you guys to let me know what you think in the comments, but I'm going to have a video about that later this week. I just don't want to see it. Volk's probably going to put some tweet out, or he's probably going to come out in the media and say, I want to get right back out there and get my belt back. Dude, if you're a real Volkanovski fan and you care about his health and you care about his resume, of course, him fighting, he'll get paid. He's made good money. I understand that. I don't want to see him fight Topuria again. No. Like, you guys need to understand how this is going to go. Volkanovski at 35 is fighting an uphill battle tonight. He was fighting against his kryptonite on the feet. Again, Volk was the one winning, and he was sweating bullets. He looked super uncomfortable. He was on the back foot the whole time, fighting for his life. Looking confident, but at the same time, it's like not affecting Topuria. Topuria was not gassing out. He was not tiring out. If Volk fights again, maybe like pillow hands Aljamain Sterling, or like some guy that has absolutely no threat on the feet just so he can rack up a bunch of freaking measly, easy free wins. But you know that's not going to be the case. You know the UFC is going to want to use him as a pedestal for other fighters. The most dangerous ones too. Like, fuck that. I'm happy that we got to see Volkanovski's title reign. It was one of the best title reigns ever. For me, this is a bit of a rough one because, like, Volk is my favorite fighter. And, like, listen, this may sound harsh, but it's the truth. Like, if this guy's fighting off of 3-4 KO losses, he'll still be one of my favorite fighters. But, like, I don't love watching Tony Ferguson be old and decrepit in the octagon. Like, that's not the Tony Ferguson that I liked watching. And I still love Tony. But I don't love the fights that he's bringing these days because he's just not at a high level and he shouldn't be fighting. And I think Volkanovski is obviously not at Tony's position right now. He's an extremely high-level fighter, but that's where it's going to end. That's where it's going to lead. So I want him to retire, man. Like, I don't want this guy to fight again. He'll take more brain damage. Maybe he'll win his next, and then he'll lose a bunch of others. So, yeah. And now it's like, dude, if Volkanovski retires, like, who's my favorite fighter now? You know, like, I know that this is going to seem like some silly thing to talk about, but at the same time, it's kind of fun to have, like, a favorite fighter to rally behind, you know? For me, I mean, I guess, like, Yoel Romero used to be my favorite fighter, and he never got the belt, and it kind of sucked. Like, I always saw him, like, right on the verge of winning. And then I guess maybe it was Whitaker for a little bit, and then it was Volk. who else is there? Benoit Saint Denis, I'm a fan of him, but like I don't really care that much, you know? So I'm sure a lot of you guys are in the same position where it's like, dude, your favorite fighter just got KO'd. His career is probably freaking over, the career as we know it, and like, yeah, he's gonna be gone pretty soon. Even if he sticks around, it's like he's either gone or he's gonna get KO'd a bunch of times. So yeah, it really sucks, honestly. Like I hate this shit, man. It really sucks. But good for Topuria. Like the guy, I mean, listen, he dedicated his whole life and childhood to becoming a world champion. He's finally realized it. He's legit. He's got a granite chin. He's got the best boxing in the featherweight division. I mean, dude, like he's a problem for anyone, man. He's a problem for anyone. And yeah, he was getting outpointed, but it's like the dangerous element that Topuria had was going to be with him in the third and the fourth too. The way that fight was looking, unless Volkanovski mixed in the grappling and maybe we could have seen him dominate there and use his like size advantage, strength advantage, maybe that would have been a thing, maybe not. But either way, his KO ability in that fight was going to remain the same for like the next few rounds. And Volk wasn't having this moment where the tide was starting to change. He looked good and he got knocked out, and it wasn't because his chin was destroyed by Makhachev. Like, he just took the atomic bomb of all punches, bro. Okay? So I want Volk to retire. I want Ilia Topuria to defend his belt. O'Malley was in the crowd. He watched Merab Dvalishvili annihilate Henry Cejudo in the second and third round and ragdoll him, the Olympic gold medal champion. Another thing with Merab and Henry looked good too. I can't just say that Merab only beat him because he was old. Like, Merab's just a fucking nightmare for anyone. O'Malley, if he gets past Cheeto, who is just not a top 3 bantamweight, top 4 bantamweight on earth, like, sure, it'd be a great time to see him fight Topuria. I don't know if he wants to fight Topuria so much after seeing that. Okay? I think he'd rather take his risk of getting decisioned by Merab than to get knocked the fuck out by Topuria. But that's a big fight. But I want to see Topuria defend the belt, bro. Turn around, defend it against Evloev. I would have loved to see the Max Holloway fight. And I know there are going to be some people saying Holloway beats him, he has a granite chin. Holloway has always struggled with shorter stature opponents. And Holloway made the decision to fight Justin Gaethje for the BMF belt. Now, to be honest, honestly, for Holloway, it's kind of looking better to fight Justin Gaethje than this monster Ilia Topuria. But at the same time, we're not going to see a fresh Holloway fight Ilia Topuria in Spain. And for Ilia, that would have been a perfect way for him to defend his belt for the first time in Spain against Holloway, who's coming off of a 2-fight win streak. Imagine that. Now, if we see a Holloway fight, it's going to be Holloway coming off of an ass whooping against Justin Gaethje where his chin is softened up, and now Ilia could be the first guy to KO him. So it won't be as exciting. But either way, we have an Evloev fight. We have a Yair Rodriguez fight. That's a guy that's going to be throwing head kicks left and right, and that's a dangerous matchup for Topuria stylistically just because of the head kicks, of course. And Ilia would be forced to grapple a little bit, or, I mean, we'll see if he can get the KO. Ilia should defend that belt against someone other than Volk. I don't want the rematch, dude. Screw that. You really want Volk to get KO'd 3 times in a row? Like, that's how it works. Did you not see Aldo get KO'd twice in a row by Max after losing to Conor, bro? I know he had a fight in between the two, but still. Goodness gracious, man. Topuria is the better guy. Like, he is the better striker, the more effective striker. Okay? You could say, all right, well, what if it went to decision? Then Volk probably would have won. But Ilia was good enough to land the flush shot to get the win, and that was the story of the fight. His boxing was good enough to checkmate Volk, and you can fight like that. You can afford to be losing on the scorecards a little bit if your boxing is that elite. And this is not like some Francis Ngannou windmill punch lucky KO. Of course not. Okay? So Ilia is the next guy. He's looking unbeatable. Some people want to see him fight Makhachev. I think that would be a tough fight. And you know what? You know, we talk about Volkanovski not shooting takedowns, and it really sucks that we didn't get to see that whole element of the fight. I don't think Makhachev or a guy like even Evloev, and I would pick Ilia to beat Evloev, they're not running the risk of just standing for 2 rounds. They're not doing that. They are going to shoot a takedown early in that fight to see if something can happen there. We don't know. We still have more answers. Sure, Ilia got the better of Bryce Mitchell, but Bryce Mitchell also held him down. He hasn't looked like an unstoppable grappler, but at the same time, he's also great on the ground. And he's getting better. He's 27. This dude is looking like an absolute nightmare. Undefeated. I think he's 6-0 in the UFC. Just beat the featherweight GOAT, who looked good. And that does matter. You can't just write this off as doesn't count. Volk just got KO'd 4 months ago. Volk looked good. He ate some big shots early. He got checkmated. Man. Yeah. So, good win for Ilia. I want to see him defend that belt soon. And unfortunately, we're not going to have the 12-hour Volk stream celebration this week. We didn't get to see me Muzz on stream. Everyone wanted that. I was saying, nah, I ain't going to do it. I would have done it if Volk won. And I'm trying to think of like the next big moment that I'm going to really want. Like, it's not all about me getting my picks right. I want to see my favorite fighters win when it really matters. And what I mean by it really mattering, again, this was not just a regular title defense for Volk. This was what was going to separate him from the GSPs. This is what was going to separate him forever from guys like Mighty Mouse and GSP. You may disagree with that. I'll be happy to debate some other day, but that's the truth. He would have been undefeated at featherweight. 14-0 at featherweight in the UFC, which is nuts. Multiple generations of guys. This is the one that would have like kept him in the top 5 for a long time. Now guess what? Ilia Topuria is on his heels. Probably going to beat, he has the win over Volk. Volk looked good, and he's 27. He has a head start. Makhachev, look at what he's doing. He beat Oliveira dominantly. He beat Volk twice, whether you like it or not. And he's looking unstoppable too. Guys are going to pass Volkanovski. That's why he shouldn't stick around. I don't want him to fight. Like, I want this guy to stay in the top 5. GSP is able to market himself as like the GOAT or the second best fighter ever. And I think most people think he's the second best ever. But that's a big thing for him post-UFC career, to be like in the conversation for the top 3 best guys ever. Same thing with Mighty Mouse. People call him the GOAT. Same thing with John Jones. Anderson Silva, if you're calling Silva the GOAT, listen, he was at a time. But if you're saying he's the GOAT now, like, it's a lot of it's just let me respect this guy, respect the legend. But he's not really that guy. Like, he's not really the GOAT of the sport, okay? He has had a great legacy. But there's like GSP, there's Mighty Mouse, and there's John Jones. Those are like the big 3. And with his loss tonight, he did not solidify himself as better than at least 2 of those guys. So if he sticks around, it's only going to get worse. He's going to slide down that list, whether you like it or not. That's how people are going to remember him. Guy that's getting KO'd left and right. Topuria was the answer. Evloev would have always beat him. These are the things you're going to start to hear. And you know what? Topuria is the answer, and I'm admitting it. He was. But let's not take any more risks and chances. I know Volk is going to come back, but I don't think it's a good idea for his career and his legacy and his resume. I think it's better for him to retire as like a guy that's in that Mount Rushmore conversation, basically. So, yeah. Anyway, guys, that's it. Hope you enjoyed the video. I'm going to make my recap of the whole card, the recap video. I'm going to make that right now. Let me know what you think in the comments. Ilia fans, enjoy the celebration. And Volk fans, we're going to have to cope with this one, but this is what happens. This is what it is to be an MMA fan. We get the lowest lows, and when things are good, when times are good, things are great, okay? So hopefully in the future, in the next couple of years, I can have one of these big wins that I really need most. And you guys will get to see some great celebrations, some 12-hour streams, whatever it's going to be. We're not going to get it this time. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you for following me, and thank you for 70,000 subscribers. That's a big milestone, and I really appreciate all the support. Until next time.